Alright, time for another guitar product review from GuitarTrainingTalk.com. And today's product is right in front of you. It is called Progressive Rock Guitar. It's a book and CD. Author is Glen Riley, guitar player named Glen Riley, and it's put out from National Guitar Workshop. And just like the title says, progressive rock guitar. With that style, what it's talking about is the style of a Dream Theater, a John Petrucci, maybe Queensryche, Rush, Genesis, even I think it mentions Symphony X, Fate's Warning, even some Steve Vai and Joe Satriani style progressive stuff is in this book. It's a really thorough book if you want to start learning what the progressive style of rock guitar playing is all about, because it is different, more technical in nature. There's a lot more to learn. Very interesting music, kind of moody music. Great stuff. So let me get right to explaining what's in this book. Like with all the products I recommend, CDs, the book's well organized, diagrams are great, and the jams in here, the little guitar parts that it teaches, are really cool in nature. They're fun to learn, they're interesting to learn, and they teach you a lot at the same time. That's kind of a given on a lot of the products so far that I've been recommending. First part of this book was my favorite because it goes over the chords, a lot of the chords that are used in progressive rock guitar. I'll just give you a quick picture of them. This is a whole section on, even though you can't see it very well, add 9 chords. And it also had a cool section on add 11 chords. I don't know how well you can see that. And add sharpened 11th chords. Dominant 7 sus4 chords. And just basic suspended chords. A lot of it gives you the best voicings and the most practical voicings that are used that sound the best on electric guitar, mainly. And so you get the most useful voicings, and they're really cool just to start. Even just this part of the book, if you've never explored this before, just start messing around with those chords, and it's really fun because you get some lot of interesting sounds. Then it's going to move into, obviously, rhythms. And there's a lot of rhythms, and of course 8th notes, 16th notes. Gets into odd time signatures, which is a staple of progressive rock. 5/4 times, 7/4 times, 7/8 times, 11/8 times. All different combinations that it's going to go into. Then it also has a lot of modulation, how to modulate from one key to the other. Covers a lot of also arpeggios and how to switch back and forth between arpeggios and scales. Has a great section on single note riffing in a progressive rock style. At the end of each section, it gives a little jam track and elaborates where you hear a lot of the points and how they sound and how they're mentioned, and those tracks are a great song in itself, something you could play live. It's just that good, really interesting, great learning tool. As you go farther down into the chapters, of course you get into the harmonic minor scales, the Lydian, flattened 7th mode, diminished modes, chromatic scales, a lot of the really odd scales that, unless you're into this type of music, you really don't really study all that thoroughly or even get into, but it's all covered in this book. Then it gets into progressive rock soloing, where you get a lot of like octave displacements. You get into like the Satriani style, Steve Vai style, Eric Johnson style of soloing. It's got a soloing over static grooves, soloing over bass notes, non-diatonic chords, a lot of different scenarios that it teaches you how to solo in a progressive rock style. Really covers a lot, and like I said, the jams are really interesting. They're fun, and they'll definitely challenge you. and get you really interested in learning it. It's got one whole section on, it's called Unstructured Chaos in Arpeggio Land, which is basically a little jam just using arpeggios over different chords, and it kind of teaches you how to easily go through arpeggios to connect long runs over your progressions with different chords in it. Not very easy to do if you haven't practiced it, but it gives a great section on that. At the very end, it gives a really long, it's called a progressive monster etude. I don't know why they call it that. Must be some classical name, but really goes into soloing in a progressive style over a lot of chord changes. So you get a lot of practice in soloing in that style and how to play over changes and play over static chords, play over pentatonics in a progressive style. Very thorough book, and like I said, well written, well diagrammed, well worth the money if you want to get into progressive rock guitar. Once again, it is called Progressive Rock Guitar, and it's by Glen Riley.